Hello all, and welcome to Miss Martin's Classroom. Today's podcast will be featuring a powerful young adult novel that portrays the history and present culture of racism in America through the eyes of a young man. Fans of realistic fiction and advocates of social justice alike may enjoy this fearlessly written novel. Justyce is an intelligent, level-headed, ivy-bound high school senior. Striving to be the best in academia and otherwise, Justyce puts his studies ahead of goofing off. Yet, when he finds himself in handcuffs on the side of the road, Justyce struggles to reconcile how he could do everything right and still be racially profiled by people who don't even know him. From where he's standing across the street, Justyce can see her. Mello Taylor, ex-girlfriend, slumped over beside her Benz on the damp concrete of the Farm Fresh parking lot. She's missing a shoe, and the contents of her purse are scattered around her like the guts of a pulled party popper. He knows she's stone drunk, but this is too much, even for her. Just shakes his head, remembering the judgment all over his best friend Manny's face as he left Manny's house not 15 minutes ago. As he approaches, she opens her eyes, and he waves and pulls his earbuds out just in time to hear her say, "What the hell are you doing here?" Justyce asks himself the same question as he watches her try, and fail, to shift to her knees. She falls over sideways and hits her head against the car door. He drops down and reaches for her cheek, which is as red as the candy apple paint job. "Damn, Mello, are you okay?" She pushes his hand away. "What do you care?" Stung, Justyce takes a deep breath. He cares a lot. Obviously, if he didn't, he wouldn't have walked a mile from Manny's house at 3 a.m. Manny's of the opinion that Mello's the worst thing that ever happened to Jus, so of course he refused to give his boy a ride. All to keep his drunken disaster of an ex from driving. He should walk away right now. He should, but he doesn't. "Jessa called me," he tells her. "That? Don't be like that, babe. She only called me because she cares about you." Jessa had planned to take Mello home herself, but Mel threatened to call the cops and say she'd been kidnapped if Jessa didn't drop her at her car. Mello can be a little dramatic when she's drunk. "I'm totally unfollowing her," she says. Case in point. "In life and online. Nosy." Justice shakes his head again. "I just came to make sure you get home okay." That's when it hits Justice that while he might succeed in getting Mello home, he has no idea how he'll get back. He closes his eyes as Manny's words ring through his head. "This Captain Save-A-Girl thing is gonna get you in trouble, dog." He looks Mel over. She's now sitting with her head leaned against the car door, half asleep, mouth open. He sighs. Even drunk, just can't deny Mello's the finest girl he's ever laid eyes, not to mention other things, on. She starts to tilt, and Justice catches her by the shoulders to keep her from falling. She startles, looking at him wide-eyed, and Just can see everything about her that initially caught his attention. She's got Mrs. Taylor's milky Norwegian complexion, wavy hair the color of honey, and amazing green eyes that are kind of purple around the edge. But she has really full lips, a small waist, crazy curvy hips, and probably the nicest hair Jus has ever seen in his life. That's part of his problem. He gets too tripped up by how beautiful she is. He never would have dreamed a girl as fine as her would be into him. Now he's got the urge to kiss her, even though her eyes are red and her hair's a mess and she smells like vodka and cigarettes and weed. But when he goes to push her hair out of her face, she shoves his hand away again. "Don't touch me, Justice." She starts shifting her stuff around on the ground. Lipstick, Kleenex, tampons, one of those circular thingies with the makeup in one half and mirror in the other, a flask. "Ugh, where are my keys?" Justice spots them in front of the black tire and snatches them up. "You're not driving, Mello." "Give 'em!" He swipes for the keys, but falls into his arms instead. Justice props her against the car again and gathers the rest of her stuff to put it back in her bag. He unlocks the car, tosses the bag on the floor of the back seat, and tries to get Mello up off the ground. Then, everything goes really wrong, really fast. First, she throws up all over his hoodie, which belongs to Manny, who specifically said, "Don't come back here with throw up on my hoodie." Perfect. Just takes off the sweatshirt and tosses it in the back seat. When he tries to pick Mello up again, she slaps him. Hard. "Leave me alone, Justice," she says. "I can't do that, Mel. There's no way you'll make it home if you try to drive yourself." He tries to lift her by the armpits, and she spits in his face. He considers walking away again. He could call her parents, stick her keys in his pockets, and bounce. Oak Ridge is probably the safest neighborhood in Atlanta. She'd be fine for the 25 minutes it would take Mr. Taylor to get here. But he can't. Despite Manny's assertion that Mello needs to suffer some consequences for once, leaving her here all vulnerable doesn't seem like the right thing to do. So he picks her up and tosses her over his shoulder. Mello responds in her usual delicate fashion. She screams and beats him on the back with her fists. Justice struggles to get the back door open and is lowering her into the car when he hears a whoop of a short siren and sees the blue lights. In the few seconds it takes the police car to screech to a stop behind him, Justice settles Mello into the back seat. Now she's gone catatonic. Justice can hear the approaching footsteps, but he stays focused on getting Mello strapped in. He wants it to be very clear to the cop that she wasn't going to drive, so she won't be in even worse trouble. Before he can get his head out of the car, he feels a tug on his shirt and is yanked backward. His head smacks the door frame just before a hand clamps down on the back of his neck. His upper body slams onto the trunk with so much force he bites the inside of his cheek and his mouth fills with blood. Just swallows, head spinning, unable to get his bearings. The sting of cold metal around his wrist pulls him back to reality. Handcuffs. It hits him. Mello's drunk, beyond belief in the back seat of a car she fully intended to drive, yet Just is the one in handcuffs. The cop shoves him to the ground beside the police cruiser as he asks if Justice understands his rights. Justice doesn't remember hearing any rights, but his ears had been ringing from the 2 blows to the head, so maybe he missed them. He swallows more blood. "Officer, this is a big misunderstand," he starts to say, but he doesn't get to finish because the officer hits him in the face. "Don't you say shit to me, you son of a bitch. I knew your punk ass was up to no good when I saw you walking down the road with that goddamn hood on." So the hood was a bad idea. Earbuds too. Just probably would have noticed he was being trailed without them. "But, officer, you keep your mouth shut." The cop squats and gets right in Justice's face. "I know your kind. Punks like you wander the street of nice neighborhoods searching for prey. Just couldn't resist the pretty white girl who'd lock her keys in her car, could ya?" Except that doesn't even make sense. If Mel had locked the keys in her car, Just wouldn't have been able to get her inside it, would he? Justice finds the officer's nameplate. Castillo, it reads, though the guy looks like a regular white dude. Mama told him how to handle this type of situation, though he must admit he never expected to actually need the advice. Be respectful, keep the anger in check, make sure the police can see your hands, though that's impossible right now. "Officer Castillo, I mean you no disrespect. I told your punk ass to shut the heck up." He wishes he could see Mello, get her to tell this cop the truth, but the dude is blocking his view. "Now, if you know what's good for you, you won't move or speak. Resistance will only land you in deeper shit. Got it?" Cigarette breath and flecks of spit hit Justice's face as the cop speaks, but Justice fixes his eyes on the glowing green F of the Farm Fresh sign. "Look at me when I'm talking to you, boy." He grabs Justice's chin. "I asked you a question." Justice swallows, meets the cold blue of Officer Castillo's eyes, clears his throat. "Yes, sir," he says. "I got it." In the aftermath of this incident, Justice turns to the teachings of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King to help him cope with this newfound perspective on racial discrimination and how it fits into his life as a young African American male. Then comes the day that Jus and his best friend Manny are driving, minding their own business, and listening to some sick beats, when an off-duty cop pulls up next to them, demanding they turn their music down. Arguments flare, shots are fired, in Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is truly a novel you can simply sink your teeth into. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next week for more Book Talk Tuesday podcasts. Also, check out my hashtag MSMReadyToRead and follow me on Instagram at ms_martins_class for more new books and fun lessons that are sure to engage you and your kiddos. Thanks for watching!